Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. H.A. from London. May Allah bless you for all your beneficial videos and increase you in knowledge. Is it permissible for women to travel without a mahram? And if not, what constitutes as traveling? Does it mean leaving your city, or is there a specific distance? I've read several ahadith pertaining to this topic, and there are many varying narrations, with some restricting the prohibition of traveling to 3 days and 3 nights, and others leaving it unrestricted. Also, does the ruling change according to necessity, i.e. traveling to university or work? I'm really confused and I do not know what to do. I would really appreciate some clarification. Jazakallahu khairah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. H.A. from London. Thank you very much for your dua, your kind words. Ameen. May Allah bless you in both worlds. This is a very important topic, very pressing topic, and the answer can become quite lengthy. So therefore, to summarize things, we have to dissect it and break it down. First and foremost is the question deals with several different masail fiqhiyya, several different issues of fiqh, such as traveling. What is or isn't traveling? Is there a distance? Is it based off of the urf, the custom, the aada of the people? Or is it based off of mileage? That's the first issue. Second issue is, what is the ruling on a woman traveling without a mahram, period? Issue number 3. What is the absolute distance or restriction or condition of a woman traveling with or without a mahram? I.e., is it okay for her to travel a day and night, a day's journey, or it has to be 72 hours, 3 days and 3 nights? Naam, or a barid, which some of the ulama such as An-Nawawi says, nusfu yawm, half of a day. Alright, very important concept. Issue number 4 is, what is the mode of calculation? Is it the means of travel that was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, whether it be a camel, a mule, a donkey, on foot, a boat, a barge, or is it our modern means of travel, which is, of course, there's no comparison between an airplane soaring through the sky, or an express train, and that of a camel crossing the desert. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. Last but not least, we have the issue of necessity. Is it permissible to travel without a mahram, regardless of the distance, regardless of what is or what isn't traveling, if it's a necessity? Last but not least, one may say, if it isn't a necessity, but it is a need, it's a haja, or haja muliha. It's something that I have to do. It's not a necessity. I'm not going to die if I don't go to work today, but I have to pay my bills, I have to take care of myself and my family, so on and so forth. Khairan inshallah. So to keep things simple, the ulama of Islam, they differ on what necessitates safar. As we've explained in our other classes, you can go back to Ad-Durr al-Bahiyya playlist on Hadith Disciple channel and others, in which we've explained that there are 2 main views. Some say it's based off of mileage, and others say it's based off of the custom of the people. As far as mileage, then it's approximately, let's say, 80 kilometers, about 50 miles roughly. That's the view of those ulama who say it's based off of distance, mileage. As far as the view of those ulama who say that it isn't based off of distance or mileage, but it's based off of the urf, the custom, they say anything that's considered a trip or journey. Ash-Shawkani rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that if you leave your city with the intention of traveling, you're now a traveler, even if it's just 10 minutes away from your house, but it's outside of your Medina with the intention of a longer journey. Khairan inshallah. As far as the restrictions of the woman traveling without a mahram, is it 3 days, 72 hours, so on and so forth? Then from the best people to explain this in detail was An-Nawawi rahimahullah. And Al-Minhaj, the Sharh of Sahih Muslim, he says that due to the fact that there's so many different versions of the hadith, it proves that the adad, or the masafa, or the number of days and nights, غير مقصودة, is that's not what's meant. Rather, he says, and he holds the view, that the Prophet ﷺ was asked on different occasions for trips of different distances. An-Nawawi Bayhaqi also said something similar to this, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said these things on different occasions, whether it was a question or not. And it doesn't mean that it is a specific amount of days. In other words, as what he's saying is, there is no difference between 3 days and 3 nights and yawm wa layla, 1 day and 1 night. 24 hours and 72 hours, there's no difference. Okay, a barid, a yawm wa layla, 3 ayyam. Okay, he says rather there's some hadiths which are mutlaqa, in which the Prophet ﷺ says that she can't travel. A woman who believes in Allah on the last day cannot travel without any tahdeed, without any restriction. So he said that this proves that there is no restriction on distance or measurement. There's no such thing as time. Rather, it goes back to safar, traveling. Whatever is traveling, whether it's mileage, the first issue we mentioned, or custom, a woman is not allowed to do that. Clear on that, inshallah? Moving forward. Then we have the issue of what is the ruling of a woman traveling out of mahram? Period. Necessity or not, need or not. Some of the ulama of Islam, they say that this is an issue of ijma'. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he says that there's consensus that all of the ulama unanimously agree a woman cannot travel without a mahram, with exceptions to 3 issues or 1 of 3 scenarios. Number 1, Hajj. 2, Umrah. 3, Hijrah. Min dar al-shirk ila dar al-tawheed. Is that a person leaving the lands of kufr to the lands of Islam, a woman who has to make Hajj or Umrah, then they say she can travel without a mahram. And there are details with regards to that as well. But however, some of the ulama is quoted that they said that a woman doesn't have to travel without a mahram in a certain scenario, such as that which is mentioned فيما روي عن Malik. They say that if she إذا سافرت مع جماعة نسوة ثقات, if she travels with a group of trustworthy women, then she doesn't have to have a mahram. Some people say that Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, Shaykh Hassan, he said إذا أمنت الطرق, if it's a safe passage, then she doesn't need a mahram if it's safe outside. Other ulama, such as Al-Baji, who was Maliki, he's quoted to have said, هذا في الشابة. He says this is regarding a young woman, al-mushtaha, a woman who's desirable, who's pleasing, who's pretty, who's a means of attraction. Okay, this is what he said. A woman who has sex appeal, she can't travel without a mahram. As far as this, what he said, Al-Baji, it's not my words. As far as a woman who's older and not as appealing, then she can travel without a mahram. The point is, are these ulama right in their view? Are they going against the hadith, the sunnah? What's important is that this shows that it's not necessarily 101% ijma' on the issue. Or if there was ijma', it was ijma' in a specific time period, and then later on they had different views. So what's important is these different opinions, whether they're right or wrong, they definitely shed some light on 2017. And no one is going to differ on the reality of the fact that a woman traveling in 2017 is not 100% like a woman traveling in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. There are dangers, no doubt. There are still creeps, no doubt. There are still irresponsible people. There are rapists, there are murderers, there's flirting, yes. A woman becomes emotional, she loses her bag, she misses her flight, there's no doubt. Someone can sit next to her, there's no doubt about that. That still exists, no doubt. Let alone the fact that we hear and we believe what the Prophet ﷺ said without using our brains. However, the reality of the situation is that a woman traveling in a car or on an airplane with a cell phone, with cameras, is not like a woman traveling by herself in the desert. It's a world of difference. And no one with any sense is going to say this exactly the same. All right? But the safest thing to do is to stick with the Prophet ﷺ's command for a woman to travel unless she has a hurma, a mahram, the mahram, a man with her that cannot marry her. That's the safest thing to do and avoid the khilaf. As far as traveling for a necessity, for a need, work or uni or whatever the case may be, then I would humbly say that the answer is going to go back to one of those 2 views. Is that it's haram to travel without a mahram, even if you're on an airplane with cameras, with security. A woman is responsible, she's pious, she's righteous, mutlaqan. But if it's a necessity, then the fuqaha of Islam, they say that a major maxim of the deen, a legal maxim, a major aqaida fiqhiyya is inna ad-dururat tubihu al-mahdhurat, is that when there is a necessity, when there is a means of compulsion, a person is forced, they're going to be harmed, then unlawful things now become permissible. So if you have to go to work and you have to study, only Allah knows if that's your situation, you know better than anyone else. If that's what you have to do, then it becomes permissible. All right? As far as Imam Malik's view, or that which is quoted فيما نقل عن مالك, Allahu Alam, if he actually said that, then you travel with a group of women. And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah knows others who said that she can travel by herself as long as it's safety outside. So being in London and in the UK, ask yourself, is it safe? When you get in your car, is it safe? When you're on the train, is it safe? Or is there a mugger, someone that's going to do something to you? Are you responsible? Do you have iman? Do you know point A, point B? I'll be back, I'm coming and going. Do you know self-defense? Do you have mace? Or do you know some type of self-defense, martial arts to defend someone who tries to grab your purse and try to rape you? You have to answer that question. Is there aman? Are the roads safe? Naam? Khairan inshallah. Also, those ulama who say that if a woman is not as young or as appealing, that she can travel by herself. You have to answer that question yourself. What's important is, bid'nillahi ta'ala, no matter what the case is, if it is a necessity, then hopefully bid'nillahi ta'ala, there's nothing wrong with you traveling without a mahram. The best thing, the safest thing to do is to avoid it and try to bring the necessity to you. Try to bring your work or your school or whatever your need is to London, to where you live, and which you do not have to travel. Let alone the fact that the distance that you're going may not actually be considered traveling. So all of these issues, we can only shed light upon them in brief. This needs an entire lecture series, but you have to answer many of those questions. What is the distance? What view do you follow? How old you are? Is there safety? So on and so forth. The safest thing to do is to travel with a mahram and avoid without a mahram. If there is a need or necessity, then bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully there's nothing wrong with that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Hopefully this is clear.